Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Helm to Tower podcast, aka the Destiny 2 starter pack eulogy episode. Rest in peace to a quality product for everybody here, for everybody that wants to get into Destiny 2 and start their journey. I can't believe they just ripped it from store shelves.
Honestly, what a way to start, Mike. Yes.
After
good.
Thank
you for ripping from stores.
Yes, I want the juxtaposition of the last episode we did of us being mad at Bungie for layoffs, and then just to this. Nothing. Right. See, hey, maybe not much has changed, even though we have a new season of Destiny 2 to talk about. Hello, I'm Mike Burgess, and Auri O'Neill is here as well.
Hello.
That's right. It's been a couple weeks since we had a proper episode, just because the holidays and you were traveling and all that fun stuff. But yeah, now we're here.
So much has happened. I get paid to write about Destiny now.
Yeah,
so
a lot of.
I'm like
stuff.
A different Destiny person.
Yeah. now it matters. Now everything we talk about matters. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Important.
Well, at least people that pay me potentially could listen to this, and that makes me nervous. But
yeah,
otherwise, that's right. We'll probably
it'll be fine. Yeah, with nothing. It really won't change much around here. As far as the podcast goes, we'll just be chatting Destiny as usual.
I'm still gonna probably make videos, but I might not write the long, single opinionated blogs. Anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Fun stuff. But yeah, Season of the Wish has begun. It'll week 2 will just be starting by the time you hear this episode, so we won't know what's happening yet. But we had the first whole week happen. Season launched. What else happened? Fireteam Finder, Dungeon dropped, new story stuff. So there's lots to talk about, really.
It's a jam-packed week, and there's like a ton of stuff in the season, like within it, just like even just weapon wise, oh man, there's so much stuff. Yeah,
so I guess we could just start with some general the general opening week vibe check. I'll say a little bit here, but then I'm curious to hear what you think. I definitely had a mixed range of emotions, honestly, last week with the season launch, and that was due to just like the I think I hopped in and then started the season story stuff and was like, all right, cool, the setup is awesome. We've brought back the spirit of Riven, which was the raid, one of the prominent well-known raid bosses in Destiny, and now she is a vendor. We're essentially helping her find Ahamkara dragon eggs, essentially, that she had hidden from prying eyes or whatever in her lair in the Dreaming City. That's kind of the story that's building so far that we know. Whether or not she'll properly help us, because we're doing that to get her help to hopefully go inside the Traveler using wish magic, so clearly nothing could go wrong with doing that kind of setup, right? Nothing at all,
for sure.
That seems like that's the premise we know so far. And then we got 2 activities. I think that was definitely the moment where I played the opening. I played the base Riven's Lair activity, which if you haven't jumped into the new season and want a primer, youtube.com/HelmToTower. I made a quick little video talking about the coil and Riven's Lair, the 2 activities. I'm sure we'll talk about plenty here. So check out that if you'd like, and plug. But yeah, I played Riven's Lair. That was sort of fine. I kind of just ran through it. I was like, okay, cool, and then immediately got hit with the next quest step when just following the quest step to do that. And let's go to the blind well. And that kind of killed a lot of enthusiasm for me as in this first week. And then before I went to the blind well, I was like, all right, here's a good time to maybe just go check out some other things. I'll go through collections and do that usual check. And then, of course, found myself in the Eververse store finding an $800 silver bundle of just shaders in the Eververse
800
store.
Silver, not 800.
Yes, 800 silver. Yes. Alongside the more expensive Witcher collaboration bundles, which nice looking regardless, but obviously it is crossovers. It's even more expensive than the usual stuff. Also weird moment that I thought they said there was going to be a Stasis Eververse set this season. I don't know if they said it was this season or if it was coming. But I remember when they said that like not too long ago that was happening, but then that's just mysteriously not happening. So still, I don't know what's up with that. I'm curious. And so that was just kind of like this game is still just not, there's still microtransactions this thing up, huh? Because obviously they're not going to be able to react to the most recent news, the layoffs and stuff. Like this season was probably well already in production and probably already even mostly finished by the time this stuff came out. So it's just kind of like that realization and like getting the general vibe of the season from this first week definitely did not give like the best of hopes, admittedly, from just like, they kind of really talked up before Season of the Witch that these next two seasons are going to be like really changing the direction of what you expect from seasonal content. And then you get into this, and like from everything we can see just in this first week, again, that's a big caveat. It could change as we get into later weeks for sure, but it just kind of feels like still a season of Destiny, and it feels honestly like they've already like backtracked to just doing what they did in Season of the Deep, which is like when they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna change it up a little, but like you're not gonna see a big departure, and then they just kind of are doing a lot of what they did again in that season with like the same kind of like checkbox to improve the vendor to get your drops from that vendor or whatever, and then there's like nothing really stand out about like the base activity, and the where everything is more interesting is this secondary more challenging activity. And it feels like everything might. I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't go as hard in that vein of like everything's contained in the coil to the point where like in 5 weeks everybody's gonna be doing like trying to do 3 different things in this single activity when you matchmake together, making it almost impossible to do something in. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. But from this first week, that stuff definitely left a sour taste in my mouth. But then I did get to the point in this quest up where I did the coil, and I actually really like what the coil is and being able to play it this week. I definitely, I talked about it in that video, again, going over like how that whole thing works, but I definitely got very lucky because I will say I got with 2 randoms and we were able to go all the way through the final tier, and I got like a full of all 4 tier completion on hardest difficulty, and like that was like actually really fun to be able to do that. It took an hour to do, so it's definitely a lengthy thing to get into. So I definitely could see what like people getting like drained by that, or like trying to go for that and not having people to do it with, and like matchmaking into it, and then doing like 1 or 2, and then people bouncing, and then just being kind of left out to dry and stuff. So like I think there will definitely be the pros and cons of how they've set this activity up similarly to what was that thing in the deep or called again? I don't remember what it was called, but it was similar. I forget what it was called.
Deep dives.
Deep dives, yeah, that's what it was.
As opposed to salvage, which was the other activity.
Yeah. So I'm curious how that'll evolve. I know, like I think they've already said like more pathways and areas of that thing will open in coming weeks. So I'm curious what that is. But anyway, what do you think so far of some of this stuff we've had in week 1?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting, like, I am fortunate enough that I got to have a very different kind of like first impression. I was not here. I was somewhere else, remote playing on my computer from California. And then eventually I got to play on another person's PlayStation. Thank God. It was not having a great remote play experience. And I'm also like, okay, I have this thing, I'm going to write about all the weapons for this season. So I'm like there's like a work level to it too that it excites me, and I like that stuff.
Yeah.
Check out my full gear preview on Fanbyte. And I had just generally good impressions. I hit the same hiccup in the blind well activity where I was like, okay, why are we here?
We're back here, really? Ugh.
There was a concern that we definitely have to do it every week, and they've already come out and said that we won't, and we'll have to do it in week 6 again. But it's also like you go to the blind well, and it's like, oh, these guys are swords again. Like,
yeah, but you didn't need to do this changes. It's okay. It's okay, actually.
Yeah. And like no other changes to it. Like if they had bumped up the enemy count or whatever, I think it would be a better experience. But it is still exactly how it was in 2018. And I enjoyed it then, but it's been 5 years. I really don't need any more blind well in my life, especially like when all like holiday events still have you run blind well at
every so often it's like, go do this, remember this thing, and it's like, I do remember it, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah To be fair, I feel the same about Altars of Sorrow. I think is the moon activity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to ever do that again either. And I like still have triumphs that I've not done for that, and I just don't care. Like that is where I go to like drop into a zone and test guns. And
that's like at least has like, it feels like a better use, like at least has one little use case where I feel like blind well has nothing, where it's like you want to still farm out those dark fragments. Everybody, gamers, no, do not.
I do. I appreciate they added a node where you can spawn directly into the blind well.
Yeah.
That's a good. I don't know why they had to wait until now to do that.
Yeah. It's nice. You can just select it on the Dreaming City map now, and it just spawns you right in. Like that's a great. Should have been that way for a while. You're right, but at least they did it. And they did update the Dreaming City weapons with a new perks. And an origin trait, which seems cool. I have not gone and looked through all of them, but to be honest, I'm still like, hey, I'm gonna, that auto rifle's cool, but like everything else, like,
like, do I need to grind for Sleepless right now? Like, really?
No, you don't. And then
I don't.
On top of that, talking about the coil again, the coil is still a outright better farm for those new updated guns than that updated blind well is. I'm assuming that was the intention, but like it sounded like they just like you said, they came out with like a pretty good Twitter thread on the Destiny 2 team's Twitter account, and we're like, hey, we're just giving you a vibe check of like the initial things we're saying. Which first off, like I'm great that they've already are doing that again and being more communicative. Like I'm sure that they've been. All the very stressed and negative news kind of finally forced their hands to push in that direction. I hate that it like took all that to see this, but like I'm still happy to see it regardless. At the end of the day, but they had like this whole thread of just like here's like some talking points we've already seen from a bunch of people in the community or on like Reddit or wherever. And that was one of the things where, like first, like they said, like, blind well, we just wanted to show off that, like, hey, we updated it and it has these things, you're only going to have to do that this one time. And then once again in week 6. And then like, if you want to do some of the challenges for the season, it'll be there too. That's like, once I saw that, I was like, okay, great. Cause I definitely was one of those people who were like, please, for the love of God, I will be like, if it's like week 3 and week 3 and you're trying to make me do blind every week, I don't know if I'm going to make it through that weekly story, y'all. Like I'm youtube.com/my name is Bife. Like I'm pretty good with the case.
Please tell me, Bife, what's going on. I can't do this anymore. So all that's happening. I got to play a little with somebody else who's like still kind of out of the loop. So again, no baggage. Vis-a-vis like Bungie stuff. I mean, I had a fresh environment. I had a fresh vibe, you could say.
Sure.
I would say certainly. So I think it hit me much more positively up front. And then when I got home and was able to grind and we did the dungeon, which was really great and very fun. And I got to sit in the Coil and Riven's lair. I think those two are the perfect seasonal activity for me. Like,
yeah,
they nailed it. As far as like how I now, like with what all the stuff that they're trying, want to engage with Destiny. Like, I love that Riven's Lair is like 8 minutes max, basically, and
yeah.
it's just like one chunk of the coil, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it can be any of like the pathways, and there's 3 paths at the moment, and maybe that'll change in the future. Seems like it will. And then the coil is like the only like me high level criticism as someone who like I've done the coil full time through with randos a couple of times now, and really just had so much fun both times. Like the only thing that I could major criticism I would say is like it is weird that like one of the things has to repeat because there's 4 runs.
Sure.
But I imagine that might not be an issue in later weeks if there's more stuff added. But yeah, I like there is like a threaded needle of agency in the coil and also rewards. And I think like those 2 factors make it way more fun than something like deep dives, like by a pretty significant margin for me.
Yeah.
And I had come around to deep dives pretty hard by the end of season of deep. Like when we were closing out that season, I was like, I actually think if I'd spent more time here than in salvage, like I would have been having way more fun in the season. And I think that's like the way that works is a bit of a harder sell for matchmaking, where the coil has like easy off ramps, right? Like some of my runs in the coil, we do it starts at -5, then -10, then -15, which there's no -15 power activities, I don't think.
I think it's
-20.
I think there is. I think it's just master stuff. I think master stuff in the game.
I think master 20 -20 is master's difficulty, as far as I know.
Maybe it is. I'm not sure.
So it's like this weird kind of like awkward middle difficulty that I actually like a lot, weirdly enough. But again, it's not just like that it ramps up at an even pace. It's that, it's fun with the pots and stuff that you're breaking to get crystals. There's agency because then you can spend those crystals to get modifiers that you want from a pretty wide list. And that's apparently going to get bigger as the season goes on. And I like that, being able to choose that. Because like I was doing stuff like swapping my build every part of the coil. Like I was using loadouts to swap to a completely different thing. And that made it like even more fun for me. And then there's the rewards of like extra chests along the way that aren't like so hidden that they're not like fun to engage with. And you're getting a ton of loot. And at the 3rd completion and 4th and final completion, you actually get to like choose the specific weapon if it appears in one of the chests. Like it'll be like, this is the fusion rifle, and it's like awesome, like that is what I want. I don't want armor, I want the fusion rifle, or like the fusion rifle, the bow.
It's really
just
nice.
That level of agency with rewards as well, and just the amount of rewards that you get, it just really hit on all sides. The vibe of being in the Dragon's Lair and like all the traps and stuff, it just really clicked with me. So like so far, and I'd say like even beyond all of that, like just front to back going through a coil run for me is like really fun, and I just want to play it because it's fun, which I haven't wanted to about any Destiny activity, save for maybe dungeons and raids, forever. Like I've been playing for the loot or like because I want to get this thing, and this is like, I could just do a coil run because it's like a little roguelike run, and I like that. So it's a big success with me so far. Obviously, week 7 Auri might feel very differently about the coil, and I totally understand that. But first impression, like this is the best first impression I've gotten from a season, minus Blindwell, I think, this year, which is good for me.
Nice. Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, I definitely felt I was probably gonna be the more mixed one on the start, but I'll say I still am.
I get it.
I'm still generally I'm with you though 100% on the coil stuff. Like the coil was just a very fun activity. I like that it is like this cool like slowly build and ramping up in difficulty, but also you can counteract that by like buying interesting like buffs from Riven, the currency, please, for the love of God, people just shoot the pots. That's
shoot the pots.
Yeah, I'm so glad people are already like, yeah, shoot pots, please. Go, please.
Most people I've been with have been good about it.
Yeah, same. Like that. Again, I had that like first group I got really lucky with when I think that was my second attempt, because I did it one time for the quest step, then I went back into it. And then got lucky because two people just were in there with me, and we went all the way. And like I said in that video, yeah. Also, I really like that. Like, it feels rewarding for doing that run. Like, like I said, it takes an hour to do, but I got just like a crap ton of guns. I got like 4 or 5 ascendant alloys from a single run. Like, yeah, like awesome. Yeah, that was awesome. And it was just fun little encounters that are like different each time enough, and like like the different pathways. I'm looking forward to seeing more variations of like the little pathways in between and the encounters and stuff, and maybe potential new encounters. Like it's like that's like the thing that I know for sure. Like, okay, I'm logging in for a new week of Destiny, and I'm actually looking forward to like running this activity for a while in a season in itself to like eat on top of just seeing the story, which before it was definitely just like, all right, let me just get this Savathun Spire done, like by like and I like the activity, but it was this is, I feel like, on a higher level than that even, which is awesome.
I'm doing this for the activity versus doing it to get through the activity for the what's on the other end of it. I think that they're starting to get it, which gives me hope. Forgive me for having hope. I know we have 180 days left of the season or whatever.
Yeah, we got 179. We got June 4th. Because that is actually something. I didn't think about, because that's, since the last episode, that is like official now, right? Like, they have officially. They did officially announce. I know, like, so time is a flat circle or whatever. It's fake news.
Me in California waking up and seeing a Joe Blackburn tweet and being like, I gotta watch this video at fucking 8:00 in the morning. Let's
see this shit. Here we go. Yeah. So they put out like an official blog post, but alongside that, they put Joe Blackburn had a quick video, basically like kind of laying out the game plan for this season and going into Final Shape. So we know officially from that it was assumed, or like in the news of the layoffs, it wasn't official from Bungie, but now it is. June 4th is now the release date for the Final Shape expansion.
6 months from today.
6 months from the day of recording this. So it's surprisingly still not the longest season of Destiny from. I think that still is Season of
the Lost, right?
Yeah, I think Season of Lost is still longer but it's like literally like by like 5 to 10 days. It's like that difference or something like that. But they laid it out. We're not getting a 30th anniversary level thing. That seems pretty clear. But we are getting something called, or let me just lay it out. So he said we're gonna have the story stuff for the season all the way till February. And then February, he said he'd be quiet in kind of February, March, but they're pulling up Guardian games in March. So that's going to be in March now. I think before it used to be in April. I don't honestly.
It's May.
April, May, yeah, wherever the hell that is. But now it's in March, because now in April we're getting something they're calling Destiny 2 Into the Light. So it's basically going to be going all April and May, and it's going to be kind of a setup to the Final Shape. They also said, I believe the Crucible map pack that they're working on is going to be in May as well. I believe they said. I think it's in May.
I'll double check that.
I remember you said there's a Neomuna map, a Europa map, and a map that is based off the Root of Nightmares raid. So it's going to be like the terraformed pyramid is what he said. So those are cool locations for maps. They said they would be. I think he like compared it to it's definitely going to be like a more mid-sized map. I forget the name of the map he did, but I know it's a popular one.
Javelin 4 is what they said they were all
which I think is that
close to.
It's
a good map.
Yeah, that's like that IO one, right? That's still left over. I think it's what that's from.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, but that map is what they're kind of closer to the range of, and I'm pretty sure they said that's in May. But yeah, you have any kind of general thoughts of what you think this Into the Light thing may be?
It is in May. Just confirmed. Just want to make sure. My guess is it's like a recap. Like it's going to be old story missions coming back.
That's what I was thinking too.
Similar to how they added the story missions to the timeline last season, which I liked. Generally, like they're kind of truncated versions. So I don't know, like that doesn't necessarily get me super excited. So I'd hope that there is more to it than that.
Right.
Whether that be like loot or reprise Destiny 1 stuff, weapons wise. I think that would be a good time because we also talked about when we were playing together, like the fact that Garden of Salvation did not get its loot pool craftable and updated.
Yeah.
People kind of thought that would happen. I still think that there is a strong possibility that will happen mid-season because I feel like that is a project that's at least within reasonable like difficulty for them to get done within the next 6 months. Maybe I'm over assuming there, but I assume like that and VOG are things that they're working on at some point in the background. So I still think that will happen before the final shape comes out. But yeah, my guess is like story missions, or like ideally it would be like a 2-hour kind of prologue leading into the final shape. I think that would be kind of exciting. Maybe even like give you a teaser for the new supers or something in game, kind of like how they led into Forsaken by putting out the big random weapons patch beforehand.
Sure, yeah.
But I obviously that's pretty optimistic. So that's my range, right? Baseline, I think it's some story recap or rehashed old story missions. At the top level, it'd be cool if it's like an actual proper prologue with cutscenes and narrative significance.
Yeah. I'm that's pretty much where I fall too. It's like I'm thinking it's going to be also some kind of story recap. They're going to bring back a bunch of more of the more popular missions that kind of are setting up the sort of final battle, or the stakes of the final battle rather, and some variation of that where it's like maybe there'll be loot tied to that stuff so they can make it more interesting for players like us who don't really need that kind of thing. Like I'd be down for that as well. Or there'll be like some kind of mini event with like some other stuff to get. They did say it's gonna be free for everybody. So that's why it also makes me think it's gonna be like smaller scale. Cause like, let's be real. They like don't really ever do like massive free content drops for this game in that vein. So I definitely think it's gonna be that vein where it'll be like, maybe they'll pull some Destiny 1 story campaign missions and maybe port those over somehow, and then maybe like some popular Destiny 2 ones, and it'll be kind of like a lead in to that we haven't seen. That's definitely where I'm falling. So that'll be free. The other thing I forgot to mention, I think, is also in March, or maybe it's like when the story ends, is Moments of Triumph is also going to be a thing again. So that actually would make sense with what you were saying, where maybe we could, when that drops, which would be like after the story ends in like February, March, they could like reprise a raid again around there with like new loot and stuff to go do, because we're usually running a bunch of that stuff for Moments of Triumph anyway.
Yeah, it'd be a good time.
So that'd be cool if that does happen, but we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, that stuff again, the Into the Light stuff and the map pack and all that stuff will be free for everybody to play early next year, and that'll kind of be there to tide us over until that June release. They also said that they won't be really showing us much more final shape stuff until around that April time frame. They said they would come back and show like gameplay stuff, and they are working on something bigger that we haven't seen that is now going to be coming.
They're
with
holding
that
stuff close to the chest, is what they said. Which, I'm very curious. Hopefully it's a new enemy race that they're holding close to the chest. I'm going to say, for the record, just here, mark it on your calendars, December 4th. I think that the final shape is going to be excellent. I really do believe that.
Yeah.
I think it's a damn shame that a lot of people that probably put stuff into it won't be there to celebrate its release. But I do think, like, for the people that are in Bungie still that love Destiny, and for the people that play Destiny that love Destiny still, despite all the mixed feelings, I do think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And I believe that, and I think this delay will help that, and I hope that they don't have to crunch or kill themselves over this. I know there's a lot of weird feelings right now. I get it, but I just
some can say they're still there, but hey,
yeah, for sure. I think it's okay to like want that to be good. I don't think sitting here and wishing for it to suck or expecting it to suck helps anybody. So
yeah,
I just putting it on the record. Let's loop back around this on June 5th.
yeah, but yeah, well said for sure. Like I think it's definitely going to be, as we get into the end of this year and into the new year, going with this with this elongated season of Destiny, it's going to be a weird time still, regardless. But I'm with you. Like I'm hopeful. I'm definitely hopeful, and I think it's still worth being excited about because clearly there's still people who are working on it very hard and care about it, and like they're still pretty excited about it to themselves, even if it's like hard, even if it's hard to like be that sometimes. I'm sure with them having to go back into that place of work every day, it's going to be tough
for sure.
And
for sure.
So but hoping for the best for the expansion. We'll have to see as we get deeper into June with that. But season wise, you were talking a lot about weapon stuff. I know you said you did a write up on fanbyte.com for some weapons. So I'm curious to hear what some of the weapons, because I admittedly have not, like, I've gotten some stuff, but I've not really like tried out a lot of the base level like new wish weapons particularly. So I'm curious if you've tried out a bunch or if you've already found some ones you're digging. Or
I've tried out a couple, and I've been looking at rolls. It's like my favorite thing is to like go on Light GG and check rolls. Like, I know it's not everybody's bag, but I'm happy to say that there is stuff this season that I'm excited to chase, right?
cool.
So a couple of call outs, right? There's a Strand rapid fire fusion rifle. I love any rapid fire fusion rifle that you're gonna throw at me. And there's a Strand one. It has like a puzzle in the lore tab that people are trying to figure out as well.
Cool.
It's got like a bunch of numbers that could potentially translate to stuff, which is exciting. I like that kind of stuff. I don't know, like that's the only gun that's like I just like this kind of gun in this slot. It's maybe like not got a bunch of great rolls on it. But there are 2 kinetic slot legendary trace rifles this season, one from Trials. Congratulations, kiddo.
Strand trace rifle, that's right. Yeah.
And then a stasis one from the season, and that one can get tons of really great rolls like overflow killing tally and demolitionist killing tally, which on stasis is really, really fun. Although it seems like with like a lot of the reworks to getting ability energy back from different sources, that demolitionist is not as potent as it used to be. That's a feel thing. I can't corroborate that with like hard numbers. So I'd be curious if anybody out there has anything to kind of back that up. Lethophobia, which is the void lightweight bow, also from the season. So again, all these are craftable. It can get successful warm up, which is like makes it fire a lot faster after kill, and golden tricorn together, which is a 50% damage buff if you play your cards right. So I do think like that bow could also be really, really good. And even like the linear fusion rifle can get like reconstruction, some precision instrument, which is a 20% damage buff. Again, not like as high as bait and switch or something like that, but reconstruction is going to make that feel very good.
Cool.
All of the Dreaming City weapons, I didn't see anything very interesting in them, but they did also bring back the season 8 Season of the Undying weapons.
Yeah, that was a callback.
Whatever reason, I played so much of Season of the Undying, I don't remember any of these guns. But of the group, you've got Subjunctive, which is an arc lightweight submachine gun, and that can get Volt Shot on it. So now to kind of finally join the aggressive frame, the Ikelos SMG that has been ruling the roost. I'm a much prefer lightweight SMGs. So being able to kind of replace that now with something lightweight with Volt Shot, very, very exciting. And then the Crucible competitive gun, the Belisarius D. It's a strand aggressive burst pulse rifle, so the 4-burst pulse rifle. I'm not saying everybody should jump into the competitive playlist, but it's got some sweet rolls on it, I'll say.
Cool.
Those are the real standouts. Obviously, we know about this exotic that I'm really excited about, Wishkeeper. Which is a strand bow. The perks for that are out there. I don't necessarily. We can spoil that if you don't care, Mike, because I've already seen it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw some stuff related to this already, and it's in the trailer, so you get a general gist of it. If you've seen the launch trailer for the season, there is going to be some kind of, spoilers, I guess, coming up. We don't know super specifics, I'd say, but it seems like we are getting some kind of exotic mission later this season, and that seems like we're going to get this new exotic strand bow. And it is
craftable as well. And
cool. Okay.
Subsequent perks that you unlock from the exotic mission, very similar to
the glaive.
Zero.
Yeah, and Revision Zero. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool to hear. I'm hoping that exotic mission is not as painful as that Defiance mission. But I'm liking that setup because they did show it in that trail. You can see I think a hunter's using it, and they shoot at the ground, and it makes a bunch of green strand tripwires on the ground. And then I guess if enemies touch that, they get strung. It strungs up, and it's a big AOE, and it strings up 5 or 6 enemies. So it's people were definitely reminiscing about the Anarchy days with that one, looking at the traps and stuff. So that looks cool. Yeah. I'm down for that kind of idea. I'm curious. Yeah, what kind of other stuff it'll get in the future with all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the dungeon, on the other hand, which we can talk about, is great. It seems like a lot of the guns there, save for maybe one, are exciting, which is kind of a disappointment. But the rocket pistol, I will vouch for from personal experience, is excellent.
I love it. I was gonna say, we'll definitely get into that stuff more in a second. But there is another weapon I wanted to call out, and that is I don't know if you seen it yet, but it is the new Nightfall or weapons. There's another arc wave frame grenade launcher that is in there, so it'll be an adept one you can get. I haven't looked at all the roles it can get, but I know it can get, which I thought was really interesting, that new strand perk on weapons. It's called Slice. So it's a wave frame grenade launcher, and Slice basically is when you damage an enemy with this. Isn't that what it's you damage them, and it severs them, I believe, or you have to use a class ability, right? You have to use a class ability.
It'll sever up to a number of enemies.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool perk, especially again, out of our purview, but PvP, I think that could be a really interesting perk as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of the strand weapons this season have it, but like you said, that's an interesting one because it's an arc weapon.
Yeah.
That also has it.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool. I like that stuff. I definitely, I've not dabbled with too many of the seasonal weapons overall, but they seem there's some cool ones in there. I definitely want to get.
They look great.
Yeah, the crafted. I want to get the crafted stasis trace and probably the linear for sure. So all that stuff looks cool. So I'll definitely start trying to go after some of that more soon. But you mentioned the dungeon. The dungeon did come out this week. I think it's definitely we're talking about. I definitely was in a similar boat to you of the weapons were a little disappointing, and the armor that you get from it is cool, but not I would say as cool as some of the past ones we've gotten. Where you just compare it to the last 2 dungeons we got, right? Or Season of the Deep, his little glowing Savathun looking Hive Guardian armor, and then Spire with freaking cowboy armor was the last two, and then this one's like, I don't know, it's some snowy Guardians, I guess, and I'm fine overall sometimes with those more like subdued kind of looks, but just gonna throw it out there. Would have been a cool one to maybe, I don't know, swap that one in as like the swap out the Eververse Witcher collaboration set that's all medievally themed, and you got swords and stuff all over your characters for a dungeon that is going to be that is a dungeon that is literally in a giant fucking Dark Age castle. I think that would have been a big win if they did that, but clearly that's would never probably actually happen. So we got it's just like this kind of like more generic like snowsuit wintry kind of look, which again it's not like the worst armor I've ever seen in the existence of the game or whatever by any means, but
how would you compare it to the duality armor?
I actually like the duality armor, despite what some people think, but that comes from like I play all the characters, so like I specifically really like I still use a bunch of the pieces from the Titan set and a bunch of different like looks I have across my Titans, so like that armor in particular is very good. But I could see maybe like the Hunter and Warlock sets are a little less interesting, I would say, is how I would say that. But I personally I've looked at I can at least look at like one set and be like, all right, this is really sick, where I feel like all the pieces I've gotten, at least so far, I've not looked at like the full sets in depth, but like looking at just like the general random pieces I've gotten, because I've ran it on all three. I've run the dungeon now on all three of my characters, and like some of the armor I've got has just been like, A Hunter has like a fluffy coat hood, which it's cool, I guess, but I feel like there's other ones that we've gotten like that already that are kind of already look a little nicer. It's
been a while. The ones that I have, like I use the fluffy set from Season of the Splicer, which is like season 15. So it has been a minute. But yeah, that's fair. I like it because I like snow shit, but
Yeah. But it's again, it's not terrible by any means, but not the most appealing set that they've done in a while. I actually like the sets from the actual season itself more than the dungeon set, which is like I think a first in a while. Even just the base sets and the season pass sets both look awesome this season. But the
agreed.
But yeah, other than that though, the dungeon, I know we definitely talked about it. Yeah, excellent. We talked about it a little bit in our group circles of like ranking the dungeons of where we put it. You said it was like probably your number one dungeon now. I'm pretty close. I'd probably put it at like literally probably my second favorite. Prophecy still I'd say Prophecy still my personal favorite, but this dungeon, incredible dungeon. It just has like a really good, cool visuals. Of course they have in Destiny, but like stuff like we really don't get much of. It is like a fucking, they took a medieval castle and put it in fucking Destiny, and you're storming a castle with like fighting against Scorn, and like a cursed, the bones of an Ahamkara are like being reused to make horrible shit, and you're like going in to stop it, and it's just fucking cool the whole way through.
It's just sick. Yeah. 3 bosses too, which we've never seen from a dungeon. It's just like, it's uncharted territory for visual aesthetic, at least not since Rise of Iron in Destiny 1 was like the last time we ever got close to this vibe. I like that it's different every time, like in little ways, right? Not significant ways, but there's like a puzzle that you have to figure out to escape in the dungeon, which we solved for the record.
We solved on our own.
Close to looking it up, but we didn't give up. We persevered and we figured it out. Thanks to Mike, honestly, figuring out the last bit. Oh shit.
So I kind of shot the circles and then realized what was happening, and it dawned on me that I was like, wait, these like you could shoot the circles and they would spin on the outside of the cages, and then you'd shoot the lever. You shoot a lever to like activate the thing, and I was just like, all right, well, I can see these spinning and they're showing they're activated, but then I kind of was like started looking around, and then I kind of thought about it. I was like, wait, are these? Oh, they're spinning different directions. You can shoot and start and restart them, and then. Yeah, it took us a solid minute. It took us a solid bit. Like I think a lot of people,
like 40 minutes in that dungeon may be reasonable, I'd say. Yeah, and like the hash marks, being different. They can be different each run. The secret chests being different of the selection each run. As the person that is writing the guide for that is very stressful.
Yeah,
but
just really learning fun. Learning that in real time. Yeah,
it's a cool idea, and I'm glad that they did stuff like that in a dungeon. I think that's a good place to do it.
And it's like it was like thematic because like they were going for this like dungeon castle keep, and think people have stuff like Dark Souls and like RPGs and like having like mimic chests. So they didn't make like a full on mimic enemy, but it was pretty close to it, and just being a fake chest that full of screams that would burst out and just explode anybody and literally put you on your hands and knees as you open it.
So funny.
So yeah, very, very, very good. Yeah,
and I think the bosses are good. Like they have fun mechanics. Like one of them is kind of similar to Callus. The first one is obviously like really easy, but like you get to that encounter so quickly into the dungeon that I don't really mind.
Yeah. Same.
And the third one is like maybe the most MMO ass boss fight that they've ever made, actually.
Yeah. That's actually not a bad way to put it.
Just like multiple platforms, you have to kill certain enemies. There's like a trade mechanic at one point, then you get to damage, and then like you go up again, and then you have like a rotation of bonus damage that you can get in. It just feels very dynamic and fun.
Yeah. I definitely like that aspect of the boss of like it's always moving, and you have like it's like smaller phases, but then like once you kind of optimize those smaller bits, you can like lengthen them, and I liked how they set it all up. It's a fun fight. To the point where like I feel like I might actually do like solo attempts at it, which I usually like. I can't remember the last time I like had a new dungeon drop, the first time, and be like, I want to actually try and solo this. Like I think it's like doable, and like it seems tough, but like at least seems doable. Where like looking at like Ghosts and even Spire before that, I had like no interest in doing that kind of stuff for those.
Spire felt doable just because like I had done like that first part by myself so many times. It's still pretty miserable by the end.
Yep.
But Ghost like just felt so unachievable from the word go to me. This doesn't, and I like that. I don't know if I'll solo it. We got 6 months ahead of us, Mike.
Yeah,
we got plenty of time to think about it.
That's definitely why I'm leaning that. Because if I'm thinking that now, like when week 1 into the season, like there will probably be a point where it's like, all right, I don't know, not much going on. There's not many games. Maybe I'll just jump into this dungeon. Yep. Solo Operative is back this season, which is a great mod. Tons of like stuff in general from the seasonal. I mean, I would say like the seasonal artifact stuff is pretty good this season overall. Definitely
like it.
Feels very solar leaning overall, but that's
because Solar is definitely getting nerfed next season. Like that is
it's the swan song, the swan song season of Solar Warlock probably more than anything.
I feel like Radiant and Restoration might both get nerfed next season. Well, Restoration got nerfed this season, so maybe not.
Yeah, I could see Radiant maybe being knocked down, or they're using this as like a test case for that stuff, especially because there is that new Solar Super coming in final shape, and I think they're gonna nerf well, but also you're gonna get that thing, and that thing I can't imagine they're gonna not want people to push people towards that and probably make that like very strong out the get go.
For sure.
Would not be surprised if that's the case with that. For honestly all three of those supers, like kind of looking at them, but we'll have to see. But yeah, definitely solar leaning. I will say that there is a couple. I think there's a more strand ones, but I mainly just remember the one that is you pick up an orb and you get unraveling rounds on your strand guns. That is actually like really good as well. Just like it goes crazy on some. I was messing with it with some strand builds. My strand titan, which strand titan is still very good. To no surprise at all. Definitely will continue to use that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they take another swing at it. But we'll see. And I think they're going to be reassessing a lot, because I definitely also think that ability cooldown changes, which you mentioned briefly earlier, like I don't think it's been highly received, at least from like the vibe check I've gotten this week. I think
I haven't gotten in.
I personally think I'm going to give it a couple more like weeks in time to like and like maybe like rejigger some mods around to see how like if to work around this, because I think the problem I'm definitely feeling, and I saw like at least a couple people point out already and somewhat agree with, is that they're like, it seemed like at least how they worded it in that blog when they put it out was that they're trying to combat some of the really high power builds that are all about like spamming abilities to a crazy degree, that makes things easier, right? That seems like at least that's kind of what the vibe was from that. Yeah. But I feel like these changes have made it so there are now just builds that still are very much about ability spam, and now because of that, they've just widened the gap of like there's a few builds that are ability spam focused, and are just crazy strong now, lowering that band in between that means that like it's kind of weakened a lot of other builds that kind of had some spam, but it was very reliant on like your mods and things like that, rather than like some of these are like more reliant on the exotics and what they can do. Mm-hmm. So like they just feel like crazy good, like the one mainly one, and it's funny because they buffed it this season, is Solar Hunter with Shards of Galanor. Like that thing is crazy now. And like granted, there's also like seasonal mods that can like affect that, but now it's like that's already built into that hunter, into the kit of the hunter, Solar Hunter, because one of their fragment or aspects is the reason you're able to just like kind of freely do a bunch of melees, knife throw melees to get kills. So now, but that like now is like ramped up because now you can use shards, and you're getting like I can optimize it better, but I've definitely seen people do it where it's like now you're able to get shards like 2 or 3 times in certain boss damage phases because like of how potent potent it is. It's like it's pretty nuts how like strong that is now thanks to that. And I think like each class has something like that now, where like they buffed Peregrine Greaves for the Titan this season, and now it's like the damage, they specifically made it so damage against, I think it's like bosses, champions, and tormentors, like that's what it does. And now you basically, to activate it, all you have to do is like kind of like jump up in the air, get like a little bit of momentum to get your dash, and then just like you a charge into an enemy. That literally gives you that melee back as long as you hit it, and then you can just kind of keep doing that rotation. And now I'm seeing people like one phase Nezarek with like 2 or 3 like void bubble titans, just with this thing, and you can just freely spam that melee now with that, and that's just like you can do that with like literally every Titan variant, or basically every light subclass Titan, because all 3 of those have like the charging melee or whatever. So
there's other stuff like that like got buffed, like Vex Mythoclast, for example, which I sent a video in our group chat of like, hey, this is what Vex is doing to champions right now. Nearly took an entire Barrier Knight's health bar in a single linear fusion shot. But like the awkward thing with Vex is that while that does apply to champions, it does not apply to like majors in general. So like if you have like a mini boss in any other situation, it like barely does any damage.
Just like
to
boink.
Them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it feels like a good hit, and maybe a little stronger, but it's like this feels like really awkward when you have them side by side. Like in that, it was the Nightfall specifically. Like you've got the Hive Wizard that's a warlock that's doing the arc stuff, and I shoot it. It's not in this video that I sent you guys, but I shoot it. I'm like, okay, that damage is fine. And then you shoot the barrier knight, it just like melts into nothing. It's like, okay, like I like that, but I don't like the other part.
Yeah.
So
feels
like
weird.
some weird stuff that like maybe got overlooked because multiple people got laid off. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. That's probably it's definitely could be a part of it for sure.
But like I'm specifically like the ability stuff that I felt got hit the most was like invigoration, like the leg armor mods. Like I use those a lot.
Yeah.
To kind of supplement the elemental well kind of vibe that pre-Lightfall existed. And those definitely feel much weaker. I had like 3 equipped on my warlock, and the amount of grenade energy you get for having 3 is not great. So it definitely like feels like, okay, well, if I'm gonna have one, I should just have 1, which has got me doing scourge mods and stuff like that more, which is whatever. But I like kickstart seems pretty potent. Like I was running a grenade kickstart build with healing grenades that, like, if I had 3 armor charge, it would give me almost half of my grenade energy back on use. So maybe like that's kind of where things are gonna go. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
It's hard to tell like where it is, because it definitely, just like you said, I think awkward is a good way to put it, where it seems like there's some things that just feel like really, really good, and even though they made a bunch of changes to how this stuff works, but I think because of those changes, things that were like pretty decent to like good, that were like right under that bar, are like kind of have all dropped down. So now there's just like these. There's going to be, I feel like, late, once we get later in the season and people are doing like, grandmasters and stuff, I think it'll be much more apparent there, where it's just like, these are the builds that like matter in these activities, and like just bring these, and you like, because nothing else will probably be even worthwhile to do. So that's kind of where I am with that.
I haven't gotten to try, they really buffed the warlock gloves for stasis, not osmiomancy, but the other ones that have like a really hard name.
I know it's like something Balador Wrathweavers.
Balador's Wrathweavers. That sounds right.
Yeah.
They buffed that with Frost Pulse. Like Frost Pulse has like another action within if you have those equipped. Balador's Wrathweavers.
There it is.
I haven't tried those yet, so maybe those are going to be.
I haven't either.
I don't know what the hot warlock exotic vibe is right now. I haven't.
I haven't heard anything too much either. I know I heard like a Apothos Veil is pretty strong now, but I know like that seems like
very weird.
It seems like it's more just like very specific to like if you're doing like a DPS phase and like a raid or something, because it's all about like, it seems strong now because it's like, hey, pop your well, and then you're just doing a bunch more damage while this is active, where like that might not be as interesting later on, or with other supers potentially. So we'll have to. I'll be interested in that. Yeah, like I think stasis to me is definitely. I was a little bummed it did not get more love just yet, but I know they said that it is coming. I think we talked about that, or I think I talked about that in that ranty video I did with all the buffs and change. But they are doing a lot of
right.
It's getting a new verb called Frost Armor. They didn't like explain more in detail, but like you can probably like make some safe assumptions with the name of Frost Armor. but like I'm glad to hear that, because it's definitely something I've talked up before, was like all these other subclasses have positive verbs to like buff you or teammates or whatever, and like stasis doesn't. I think that's one of the main reasons it feels like it's kind of now behind a lot of the other stuff. So that's to hear that stuff is coming, and other changes too are great. I would really like to see more stuff to the Titan. The Titan, I think, still did not get enough love. I still think it is like one of the worst subclasses in the game, personally, in terms of just like fun to play and like do stuff with. So I'd really like to see that get more changes. I would like just to see across the board the supers in general be better. Like I think like It's cool that they've like really tried to like really get Balladors into an interesting spot, but the reality is like when you have a gauntlets that give me 2 stasis turrets, I'm always just going to use 2 stasis turrets. Like you can't.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get that off me no matter what you do to Balladors. So I'd rather you just make the super itself better and more interesting. In turn, that could potentially then also combo with Balladors to be even better and cool. Like that would be the thing to get me to actually pull those out and try it. That's just where it is now at this point. Same with the Hunter one.
Yes. The Glacier Grenade cooldown is better for sure. And nice. It makes the Aurimeanswind 2 turret build like even more fun. I was playing around with it with the seasonal trace rifle that has demo killing tally. Although for some reason killing tally was not proccing correctly. I don't know why, but the demo part of it where it's like you kind of keep the loop going, it's getting you energy back, shoot my laser and I'm getting more grenades, like getting more turrets, like feels really, really good.
Nice.
Cool. I'm hopeful that Stasis will continue to move in a good direction. I still like it, but it's like Stasis Warlock was always the best one, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
At least for PvE ad control wise. And the Hunter Super has always been good on Stasis, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. Like it seems like it's moving in the right direction. The fact that like you can see something like I think I saw an Astrocross video, and apparently with like the one of the stasis artifact mods of the season, you can basically do shadow dives again in PvP, and I've not seen people losing their minds about it. Makes like I feel like that should make it pretty apparent, right? That like you need to do if this has come back and how miserable people were about this years ago, right? When how crazy stasis was at the time. And like now, like literally no one's. I've seen like Ascross make that video, and like no one else talk about Shadow Die being back in a way that people care. So like I think that's like I feel like that's like a pretty poignant note there to be like, oh yeah, we let people do this with this mod again, and like just no one cares. Like I think we need to do more with Stasis to like to make it interesting. So I'm definitely looking forward to when they finally talk about more Stasis changes in the future. Anything else to talk about for this new season? Let me think here.
We talked about it. We joked about the starter pack, but we didn't actually.
Yeah. Let's have our we gotta have the proper eulogy. You're right. Proper eulogy.
I was like properly upset. Pack. Like it's pay your respects. I'm not like it's very rare that like a game company that I'm invested in. Really, it's Bungie or like Nintendo occasionally, things like that. Like where it's like, man, you fucked up, dude. Like, I can't believe you've done this, and you had to have. And like thinking in hindsight, right? Of like you had to have known there are people who knew this thing was going to be a thing that was dropping, and they were just like, what? They're gonna hate this. We're gonna get flamed even harder. This is gonna suck, and totally did like. It felt like a thing where some, upper management person was like, no, we need to monetize this in the game. And they were like, this is going to be the line. And we will, like, I will send you a fucking Dado still image after the season launches to fucking prove it to you afterwards. And we're going to pull it. So go ahead and post it, but it's going to get fucking pulled. Like, it felt like one of those, like, ultimatum moments.
Yeah.
Clearly no one at Bungie liked this. Like that's the vibe that I felt because they pulled it so quickly.
It was not even up for I believe 48. I don't think it was up for 48 hours. And they pulled it. I don't even
know if it got through a day.
They pulled up a bit. Basically, to give what it was on Steam when the season launched. Something called the Destiny 2 Starter Pack dropped. It was a $15 pack that got you. Ruinous Effigy, which is the exotic trace rifle, Traveler's Chosen, exotic sidearm, and Sleeper Simulant. So like 3 exotics that are like good, fine. And then there's like some like dumb cosmetics that were just sort of also fine. And then there was like 120,000 glimmer. a single ascendant shard,
Yeah.
some like I think it was some cores and prisms. So like stuff you could get, literally you could literally spend that same amount of money and get a season pass, which has like literally all of that but better. Like the same amount of stuff, you just have to grind for it a little more to instantly get it. Like it's just it was just a completely worthless pack in any shape or form. Like the thing that was like that really got me, and I think when we were discussing it, like I mentioned it in our Discord with our group, was that like specifically like the skeeziness of like who this would be for and targeting, right? Like they put out dumb $15 bundles on Steam for Destiny like all the time. Like there's like they have like $15 bundles that are like, here's like an exclusive emote in some silver for the season, because it's like, and it's
they
like
have one for this season.
They literally do that all the time. So like the fact that it's like a dumb little 15 extra thing, like, well, that's not my issue. It was more that like it is labeled as a starter pack, and that's like clearly targeting people who are like getting into the game the first time, who like don't know a lot about Destiny yet, and like don't know what's actually valuable to them in the game, and are just gonna like see that and be none the wiser and be like, oh, it's a starter pack and it has some weapons and these currencies, and it's like, I might as well get it alongside like the fucking hundreds of dollars you have to spend to get a bunch of expansions and shit already. Like it's just already convoluted, and now you're adding this little thing onto it to try and nickel and dime even more than you like already are doing. Just was gross, and definitely that was added to my like sour taste of the season launch, or mixed vibe I had at the start of the season. So like seeing them like, but as the week progressed last week, and seeing them like pull it and then like be more communicative on Twitter was definitely a good, net gain and changing of the direction that they're really trying to like start and push, which, I hope they continue. That's definitely what we need to see them continue for me to like kind of still garner back trust to an extent. But yeah.
Totally agree. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah.
It was just gross.
The most vulnerable player base that you need more of right now, for sure. And it's already fucking hard, y'all. It is already so hard to get people into Destiny. This is so bad. The optics are so bad. And it was like, the shittiest thing is like every seasoned Destiny player who is like currently your best, like your representative that is getting people into the game. Like everyone says, like, how do I get into Destiny? You find a friend that's already into Destiny. Right? Like every single one of us was like, this sucks. Like I wouldn't even recommend these guns to a new player, period. And it's just awful. Yeah. But I'm glad they pulled it. Yeah. It's gone now.
Yeah. I will say the only one good thing to come out of it, which I found hilarious, is Leopard bought that starter pack for Dado after he made the video. That was amazing and so funny. And then they pulled it, and then Dado replied to him, gifting it to him with a collector's item. That was the best thing we got out of the release of this $15 starter pack for Destiny 2.
Dado, that video, like go watch it. It happens so rarely when Dado's like pissed, dude, and I felt it. Yeah,
he was mad. That Stinger card was definitely,
it was make the rounds on Twitter. That's for sure.
That's gonna be a classic all timer for like something he pulled off. So I definitely think that definitely, I have to imagine, I don't think a ton of content creators move the needle within what Bungie makes decisions on stuff. But I have to imagine that was one of those few times that like they saw him put that, and then his reaction to that stuff, and went like, we can't, no, we got to do this. Yeah. Like, that's gotta be a moment where that really happened. So glad they did it. They pulled it, and they hopefully learned their lesson, and we will not see another one of those weird $15 starter packs with the final shape drops.
It's like like we have to remind Bungie that Destiny is not free to play. Like we have to come up and be like, hey guys, it's not. Like you can't even get into the seasonal activity.
Yeah, you can't just try. You can barely try that stuff out in any meaningful capacity. I think another person pointed out, like, literally any other game that Destiny like gets put up against, like MMO type games and stuff. These would just be like fucking login rewards for like an event. Like you would log in 3 days in a row and get an Ascendant shard for this special like limited event. Like that's literally like the level of these things that they were trying to upsell for $15. So yeah, glad they do it. Glad they they took it out. That's no longer up for sale or any purchasable means. It was the right move on their part. So I commend them for doing that. Regardless that I think the actual issue should be how that even got made in the first place is the thing again that needs to be addressed. I think we've talked about that a lot of just like it's the separation between
the person that made that decision.
Those are the people that need to like get the reality check and refigure a lot of things out about what they're doing here. But we've belabored that I think enough.
Yeah. The other thing you wrote down in here in the doc was no new armor exotics this season again.
Yes, there was no new exotic armors was also a little disappointing. I know like
it's kind of like every final season now.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's definitely been seasons where they did not have that. So that went with my vibe of like, I think they probably would have pushed a little to have that if the season was a little bit going to be a little bit longer if they knew that going in, but clearly they didn't. So I think they just didn't make those in hindsight. So that was a little disappointing to see because I always like when that kind of stuff is added, but that usually means that like we usually get a few or multiple when a new expansion comes out. So
and the Lightfall ones I think were pretty good. I'm looking forward to whatever the final shape ones will be. And I feel like they got to get over this. Like, if we're going to have a 6-month season, they should be able to like feel like they can add new armor exotics, for example, at the halfway point, right? Like where a new season normally would start. Like, similar to I would weapons and stuff.
Yeah, agreed. Like I would be totally fine if they like you were saying, like even if it was something like, hey, you originally for Final Shapes release you were to get like 2 new exotics for each class. If they just went like, hey, we're gonna pull like one of those exotics for each class up to this mid-season point in like the April or May drop, or like when Moments of Triumph or whatever, just whenever during that extra long period. Like I'd be totally cool if it was just something like that, right?
Totally.
Like that,
communicate that, tell us that, do it.
Sure, yeah, do it,
and it would be cool.
Yeah, I'd be totally cool with that for sure.
Free ideas over here, Bungie. Just saying.
Free ideas. It's saying. Just we'll take the check when we get it.
Check in the mail. You
would have asked us 2 weeks ago about the starter pack. We would have been like, oh, I don't know, y'all. I know it's rough out in these trees, but not that rough. Come on, like you could have came here for free for that kind of insight on Helm to Tower podcast. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this episode.
Good to be back.
Good to be back. And we will be back probably next week or so to talk about whatever story bits happen. If there's any other fun updates to talk about, I'll be back. And then there's other general, minor Helm to Tower housekeeping bits here I'll throw in at the end. Please. As you've seen, I've already started uploading more kind of shorter form video content again here on the channel. Most of it was based on not Destiny, but Wayfinder, another game I'm going to be starting to cover here more regularly on the channel. But I also did that Destiny guide. So, again, we're not abandoning Destiny. We're going to keep doing this show. I will probably do more Destiny videos. And I know you said you will as well, Auri. So we're definitely expect a little bit more of that kind of stuff on the channel again as well, which I'm looking forward to. And we're still gonna maybe look at some other games here, looking out in the coming weeks. Particularly one I will shout out for my anime sickos out here. I got into the closed beta test for Zenless Zone Zero. Isn't that a video game name?
That is.
It's the next game from the Hoyoverse, the people who make Genshin Impact, and Honkai Star Rail, I think, is the other one.
Yeah. Yep.
This is their new game. It's in closed beta right now, and I was fortunate enough to get a code for it, and so I've been playing a decent amount of that. And it is, spoilers for that preview video, but it is pretty cool. It's got some cool shit going on.
This is the one I was excited about, so I'm going to watch this video.
So I'll have something like that probably in. Probably won't be out soon with this video, but I'll be like in the coming weeks. And then, again, Wayfinder's another one. I would say that's probably more closely aligned to what people like from Destiny stuff. I'd say like our Destiny / Warframe, those kind of games. This game is more akin to that if you've not checked out those videos yet. So you might be interested in that kind of stuff. It is getting a pretty massive December update. As well. It's going to have a lot of updates. They've been like previewing updates every day for the past couple of, for like the past week or so. And some of the stuff seems really cool. So I'm going to do some videos on that stuff, and that'll be pretty much right as this episode comes out, probably be that same week. So yeah, a bunch of stuff. We're going to be doing more on the channel. But
really
we'll be
looking
here for
forward
Destiny.
to your Skull and Bones content.
Skull and Bones closed beta. Let's check it out. No, I don't know about that one. I don't know if
we don't know about that one, Steve.
No. That's one I probably will not go in for. But
that's a live service game you're not going to invest 100 hours in.
No.
Sorry, UB.
Unless they put in, unless they make it so I can be Rayman in pilot put on a ship. If I can
the first person view of you at the wheel and your hands are disembodied
hands. I just want it. No, like put like a Rayman icon on your fucking flag or ship or whatever. Let me actually play as Rayman
on your ship.
Just a bunch of bumper stickers on the side of a pirate ship. Yeah, that'll probably be in there. Let me actually play as Rayman though, and then maybe I'll consider putting a high quality video together for your Skull and Bones coverage early next year. But otherwise, we're just going to stick to a couple of games I mentioned here. Yeah. But yeah, we'll be back soon with another episode of the Helm to Tower podcast to talk more Destiny. But until then, see you next time. Bye.
Hey, we love you. Bye.